watch at this point in time because of, possibly what could emerge when it comes to the tariff negotiations. But FMCG did well.
Well, that's right, Ekta. That was a bright spot in today's trading session. FMCG led the way, but otherwise the markets are quietish, waiting by for some clarity on President Trump's tariffs and also what the FMCG minutes, FOMC minutes will throw up later this week. So those are the global cues. On the back of that, some kind of consolidation on the headline index. Well, let's run you through what we've got lined up on the show for you. We start off with all the top movers and shakers. Hormas will be helping us with that list. FMCG stocks like GCPL and Dabur, they surge and trade following their Q1 updates, while Jubilant Foodworks shares declined despite a very good showing in their provisional numbers. Well, Hormas will also give us reasons why the stocks were buzzing in today's trading session. But as promised, first segment coming up. Hormas standing by on the big ball with all the top movers and shakers of the day. Hormas, over to you.
Well, it was a day when the markets were in snooze mode, still awaiting Donald Trump's announcements from later tonight. But the day certainly belonged to the FMCG shares, and almost all of them did very well. Those who reported results, and then the rub-off effect on those who didn't report provisional numbers as well. You look at Godrej Consumers, and HUL is the stock that I was referring to, but that had a rub-off effect on names like Jyoti Laboratories and Bajaj Consumer as well. So FMCG, in a way, had a very good day today. The one FMCG stock that didn't have a good day was Jubilant Foodworks, and that is among those names that also reported business updates today. The Equitas Small Finance Bank also is a reaction to that, almost 7% lower today. Info Edge's updates came out earlier in the day. That stock also was down 5% at one point. Senco was the other positive update that came in, and ESAF too ending at the lows of the day. Defense stocks predominantly were lower in today's trading session. Be it Paras Defense was up 10% on Friday, gave up half of those gains today. Garden Reach, BEL, Masgao Dock, all of them ending lower, but DCX Systems was an outlier because it won a contract earlier in the day, so ending 3% higher today. Dreamfolks continues to grind lower. Fifth day of losses for the stock, 6% lower today. Metropolis, Nuvama Wealth staging a bit of a rebound after Friday's drubbing. Petronet LNG after a positive brokerage note that came in earlier in the day. And CE Infosystems too, after signing a contract with India Post today, doing well. And lastly, some stocks that ended at a 52-week high today. Now look at PC Jewelers. That was up almost 11%. Circa Paints, Hawkins Cookers, Thyrocare ended at a 52-week high today, 5% higher. And Axis Gates too, continuing to make new highs. Back to you guys.
Okay, all right, Hormuz. Thanks very much for that. Now let's go across to our guests this afternoon. We have Sudip Bandyopadhyay of Inditrade Capital and Jay Thakkar of ICICI Securities. Sudip as well as Jay, welcome to the show. Well, let's start with the technicals of the market. Jay, quiet day. Nifty just about consolidated. And we have the mid-cap index, which marginally underperformed. What was your approach to today's trading session? And what are you probably expecting in terms of stocks?
Good afternoon to you, Ekta and Nigel. Well, see, my take on the market is that it might just trade sideways, for the short term, because till we don't have a meaningful breakout again, the range is just, quite wider. I would say 25,700, 750 on the upside to 25,000 on the downside now. So, and we are right in the middle of the range, and Nifty closed almost, formed a kind of a doji candlestick pattern with almost no gains or loss in today's trading session. In fact, Bank Nifty has also gone sideways. My worry is that Bank Nifty relatively is underperforming since past 1 week now. We have seen that in past Bank Nifty was outperforming the Nifty. Each time it is giving a breakout on the upside, is not able to follow up. And it has sort of formed a rising wedge pattern, or you can say an ending diagonal pattern, wherein, each of the highs when joined, those are acting as a resistance. So now this time around, we again saw that, 57,500 is acting as a resistance for a Bank Nifty. So unless we are not seeing a breakout above those levels, there is a very high possibility that Bank Nifty too might trade within this range. And, Bank Nifty and financials were the ones which were, really in an upward momentum and supporting the Nifty's up move, and they have gone sideways. So unless we see a, clear reversal happening in the BFSI, wherein banking and financials now take forward or again move upside, we would not expect a breakout on the Nifty. Rather, it would trade sideways within this range of 25,700 to 25,000, unless we see a major kind of a move happening due to the result season. Stock specifically, yes, because we aren't seeing any major movement in IT or banking now. And we have seen now FMCG, in fact, providing a breakout, and we are seeing some good short covering happening there. So the stocks like Dabur, HUL might even perform from current levels, even for that matter, Marico, which has seen good long build-ups in past as well. So these are the few stocks which might do good from the current levels. I would not even be surprised if at all Pharma does a good comeback in this week. For that matter, Divi's Labs, Lupin, these are Glenmark is already doing good. But Divi's Lab and Lupin, these are the few stocks which can do good. Lupin can see some short covering happening, whereas Divi's Lab is already has seen a good long build-up, and that can continue. So pharma and FMCG would be in focus unless we see a breakout on either side from Nifty.
Got it. Okay, all right, Jay. Thanks a lot for that. Well, let's get to consumer staple stocks. GCPL as well as Dabur, both of them rallied post their first quarter numbers. Manglam joins us to decode what's driving them. Manglam?
Staples are definitely having their day in the sun today. Good updates coming in from the likes of Godrej Consumer, as well as good improvement is expected for the likes of Dabur as well. The weakness are largely seasonal, and that's what these updates suggest as well. If you look at Godrej Consumer, on a standalone basis, the company is reporting a high single-digit underlying value growth led by mid-single-digit underlying volume growth, which has seen improvement both sequentially as well as on a competitive front too. Even though the company has, seen some weakness in their margins on account of deflation in palm oil prices and them sitting on high inventory, they believe that this situation is likely to ease out in the second half of this year, and the street is taking note of that. Growth for Godrej Consumer has been led by their home care businesses, which has actually grown in double digits, whereas personal care, which is largely the soaps business, has seen low single-digit value growth, and that's on account of the deflation that we've seen in palm oil prices, so that transition continues. On the other hand, for Dabur, their consolidated revenue has grown in low single digits, but that's largely because of the beverages portfolio, which has seen a weakness on account of unseasonal rains and a shorter summer. Beverages, remember, account for nearly 10 to 12% of their overall sales. The other parts of their business, which is home and personal care, along with healthcare, have seen a lot better performance, and the company believes that this is likely to continue going forward as well. Here as well, there is likely to be some margin compression, but the street is hopeful that the second half of this year, we will see improvement in the margins as well as the commodity cycle turns favorable. Remember, both these stocks have been underperformers in the past, and on the back of improving demand sentiment, we've seen these stocks do well. In fact, not just GCPL as well as Dabur, we saw HUL, which was the top Nifty gainer today as well, taking a leaf out of these updates and telling you that the demand sentiment is definitely improving.
Okay, all right, Manglam. But stay with us. While the market cheered for staples, it was not that good for discretionary names like Jubilant Foodworks, which slipped in trade despite good updates.
Well, Jubilant Foodworks reported a good set. We had a consolidated revenue growth of 17%, domestic revenue growth of almost 18%, led by like-for-like growth of about 11.6% in India. Domino's India, that is, them having added nearly 60 stores as well. The stock is lower, largely because of valuation concerns and discomfort out there. Remember, the stock, despite the outperformance that we've seen and despite a decline post that, trading upwards of 75 times FY27 earnings. If you look at analyst estimates, that leaves little headroom for growth, and the street is now looking at consumer staples as a shift from a portfolio standpoint, which is what explains the outperformance of GCPL and Dabur versus Jubilant Foodworks. And at the same time, we got decent updates coming in from the likes of Nykaa, etc. as well. Those stocks too sold off from the highs.
All right, Manglam, thanks for that. Sudip, what do you make of this move? Staples, do you think it's time for them, to start performing? If you look at some of these stocks, last 5 years, almost zero returns. HUL, Dabur included as well. And also, what do you make of the pizza maker? Numbers look good. Valuations are a concern. What do you like from this pack?
Oh, absolutely, Nigel. I think, look, what's happening as far as the staples are concerned, FMCG, core FMCG, I think last few years have been very disappointing. And, initially we had a, rural slowdown, kind of a rural demand slowdown. Then when rural demand started picking up, we had an urban demand slowdown. So I think, something or the other was not working right. Finally, when the Friday Marico numbers came out, we did see a pickup, sign of pickup, very clear sign of pickup. And today GCPL, Dabur and other numbers which are coming out, at least the business numbers which are coming out, very clearly shows that probably after a very long time, the green shoots of growth is visible. And of course, the market is cheering that. FMCG does play an outsized role in overall market sentiment. And, pretty much that's what we are seeing. you're absolutely right. These stocks haven't given investors good return over the years. And I think finally their time is coming. Consumption is being given a boost by the government. Government is very clearly realizing that consumption needs a boost, and they're trying to do a lot of things to ensure that consumption does get a boost. Capital expenditure, yes, that's happening, but consumption also is being given a support now, and that was necessary for FMCG to start doing well. As far as the Jubilant Foodworks and some of the other names, Nika and others are concerned, I think in spite of good set of numbers, I think the valuation comfort was never there. When FMCG was not doing well at all, I think people were putting allocation there more and more. But now that there's a sign of FMCG starting to do well is visible, money is and will definitely move from the 75 FY27 multiple type of stocks to core FMCG stocks like in HUL, Dabur, Marico, and the likes.
Okay, all right, that's on FMCG. But now let's go across to the big IT deal. Capgemini has acquired WNS for $3.3 billion in cash. The deal is expected to be accretive to Capgemini's revenue and operating margin, while Capgemini reported global revenues of €22 billion for 2024 with 14% margins. WNS generated approximately 1.2 billion euro in revenue in FY25 with margins of 19%. Analysts stated if Capgemini can combine domain-rich BPO of WNS with AI-led automation, it can create a next-generation intelligent operations platform. Further, UBS highlighted this could transform Capgemini's positioning in a BPO space, evolving from labor-centric to AI-augmented delivery. Sudip, any view on this?
Well, this is definitely an interesting transaction, and this will give incremental, muscle power to Capgemini. WNS was a very well managed and run BPO outsourcing kind of an organization, having presence in multiple geographies across the world. Acquisition of WNS by Capgemini, I think, should help Capgemini move into a different league altogether. Yes, absolutely, AI can play a huge role in changing the game for WNS and the entire BPO business.
All right. One stock I wanted to ask you a view on is Dixon Technologies. There is some buzz that, this one, in fact, there could be some more positive news flow that comes about. Sudip, what's your view? At around that 13,500 normally sees a lot of buying, and then it bounces back quickly. I've seen this numerous times in the last 1 year. At around 15,500, best in the price or best to come?
Well, as things stand today, definitely it's a very full valuation. And unless there is a game-changing event happen, I don't see valuations moving up further from here on. But there are game-changing things being talked about. A major tie-up with a global major is being talked about. And if something like that does materialize, we can see new levels, new highs. But otherwise, I think it is richly valued.
Okay, all right, Jay, as well as Sudip, thanks very much for taking the time out and speaking with us and giving us all of your views. Well, with that, it's time for a short break. We'll get you all of the top corporate voices along with key market events to watch out for on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Markets Forward. Well, as promised, let's get straight to our corporate voices that we heard all through the day. Let's give you a gist of that. First up, Borosil Renewables, the company's German subsidiary, has filed for bankruptcy. This comes due to a slump in demand for German solar panels, as China has been dumping products at lower prices. The management of Borosil Renewables says that the German government will need time to restructure solar industry, adds that the interim administration will take over operations of the German arm. They also added that profits will improve by 27 crores per quarter due to this move.
Next up, Travel Food Services expects strong business momentum to continue going forward. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, the firm says that it will continue to undertake efforts to improve margins. It adds that the SSLV launches will add about 1,000 crores to the top line.
Finally, DK Sunil, the CMD of HAL, expects to close the 2,000 crore rupee Dornier aircraft order this year. He also adds that it will take the firm 5 years to complete the Sukhoi 30 upgrade. That's not all. The firm expects revenue growth in excess of 8 to 10% going forward and will invest 7,000 crore rupees on R&D over the next 5 years. HAL has also said that it expects to significantly scale up its civil MRO vertical. As we go forward, we also had R.K. Singh, Defence Secretary, on the channel, during which he spoke about establishing an MRO for S-400s.
As of now, we are looking at establishing an MRO here in the first place, and thereafter we'll see. The numbers may not be sufficient to have a, co-development and co-production. It's very early to talk about that. Right now, I think there is a suggestion that we might go for some additional orders of the S-400. Out of the 5 batteries that we've already ordered, 2, as you know, are still to come. They'll come next year. And by the end of next year, all 5 will come. So, yes, maybe there could be some additional orders that could be considered. But generally, in terms of production, normally you start with an MRO, and over time, depending on the volume, you could look at co-production. But it's probably a little early to be talking about that. So as far as we are concerned, yes, the nature of warfare changing the way it is. There is a large market for drones in the country, military drones. And I think industry recognizes that and is making investments. There are 1 or 2 promising companies with Indian designs as well. There are others, including some large industry conglomerates who've tied up with foreign vendors or OEMs with transfer of technology. So yes, from our side, the support will be there in the form of large orders, large RFPs or tenders that will be issued, and it will be under Indian, by Indian and IDDM categories, because the intent is to make it in India, but it could be at fully Indian design and manufactured. It could also be one where the technology is from outside, but the construction or the manufacturing takes place in India.
Okay, and that's the Defence Secretary. But before we wrap, we'll bring you some key events to watch out for. Gaurav is standing by with the key events for tomorrow. Gaurav.
Yes. Globally, when we talk about key events, first let's talk about US Treasury, because 3-year Treasury note auction will take place. Other than that, from the European region, Germany trade balances data will also be released, and that is something that we should watch out for. On the trade and tariff related data, we should watch out for US tariff, because as per Mr. Trump, US tariff letters deals will be delivered soon. At the same time, let's also not forget to watch out for India, because PM Narendra Modi will hold bilateral talks with President of Brazil. And lastly, let's also not forget that as per our exclusive sources, India and US is likely to take a final decision on a mini trade deal, and that is something that we should watch out for. On the stock specific, we should watch out for 5paisa, because company will come up with their Q1 results. On the other hand, let's also watch out for MCX, because company is going to announce and launch electricity derivative contracts. So definitely watching out on all these counters for a day tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Gaurav. But on that note, we'll have a wrap up on this edition of Markets Forward. You stay tuned. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. India and the US complete negotiations on a mini trade deal. A final decision is likely in